of you. Ash Wednesday marks the beginning of the 40 days that the Mother Church gives us to prepare ourselves for the great mystery of the death and resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. As Paul rightly puts it in the second reading, that it is a holy and an opportune time for all of us Christians. Paulo Matakatifu keto wa ewinjo kinde mawadonjegi kowacho ni neuru mae kinde mowinjore ahinya, winjuru ma endalo mar warruok. The great opportunity that the Mother Church gives us, all of us the Christians, a long period of retreat to once again rediscover God, who is always very present in our hearts. Yet we human beings sometimes are far away from God. And so at the beginning of the season of Lent, we are invited to the reality of a conversion of heart. We are invited to do things not only in the physical, but to appreciate the value that doing things internally and the benefits with which they come, or the benefits that comes with doing things from the interior. The first reading that always comes from the book of Joel, or Prophet Joel, on the Ash Wednesday is an emphasis that is put to us that all these things must be done from the heart. And so the question that we must put to ourselves at the beginning of Lent of this Ash Wednesday, each one of us must ask ourselves, do we have a heart? And what kind of a heart do we have? How is our heart? How is our heart? How is your heart? Because if we do not get it from the heart, then we lose the meaning of why we are given this 40-day period of intense prayer, of more charity, and of confession of sins. And so we are not getting into a season where we have to invent things that we must do, but we already know in our minds and in our lives what we ought to do and what we should do. And now what we can pray is for the grace of God to give us a heart that can appreciate and do so very well these things that we have to do in this holy season of Lent. And so it is the heart. En chuny manade mango, en chuny mabedo nade gi Nyasaye. Emomiyo ka wachako kinde mag tweyo to wamaneno mana kwan neno mar Nyasaye mondo miwa chuny makare, nikech ka wawinjo kendo watimo gigi kowuok e chunywa to koro gikelonwa olemo mabeyo monego kinde mag tweyo okel e ngimawa. To ka watimogi ka ok waparogi e chunywa kendo ok wagologi e chunywa, to koro bende gibiro mana bedo another season that comes and goes without any fruit of it. But then these 40 days should bear a fruit so much so that when we celebrate the Paschal events, they may have meaning in our lives. They may make us to love God more and more. They may make us to have a deeper faith in God. They may make us to appreciate the deep love that God has for us, as the psalmist tells us. That God is always merciful on us because of his immense love for us. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, as we begin the season of Lent, and all that comes and all that we are required to perform during the Lenten season, may all these things flow from the heart. We can advise us to once again get back and read something on the human heart and the divine love heart of God, as the Holy Father of happy memories, Francis, in his encyclical, the one he wrote just lastly before his pontificate came to an end. Nijo Christus, those who are in a position can once again go and reflect on the beautiful words that the Holy Father, before his death, gave us as a people to reflect on, to once again think and appreciate the place of the heart in our lives. Because every other thing so well thought of in the heart can always be good. You always hear when we are celebrating the Mass, it is the heart that we lift to God. Chunywa emotingo malo ir Nyasaye mopogore gi gimoro amora. Nikech chunywa emomiyo wachal gi Nyasaye, kendo chunywa ema wanyalo fwenyo ber mar Nyasaye. Chuny ma wan go ema ji nyalo wacho ni adier ng'ane to Nyasaye tayo, ng'ane nigi Nyasaye, ng'ane en ng'ama chunye ber, ng'ama chunye ber matimo gik moko. Ma emomiyo ichako iparonwa ni wechegi nyaka koro giwuog e chuny, kendo nyaka koro wadong chuny maber, chuny makare, chuny machal gi Nyasaye. Chuny makare, chuny maber, chuny machal gi Nyasaye e chuny manyalo miyo ji Nyasaye. That heart that resembles God, that heart that manifests the love of God, is what, when we have cultivated in ourselves in this period of Lent, then people will realize that God has not abandoned his people and God is still with us. It is that kind of art that has been trained so well, that has been formed so well, is a heart that can always recognize the good ways and the bad ways that they must avoid. A heart that mourns for sinful ways. Chuny mayuago timbe maok ni kare. Aito koro chopo kare gima Jesus Christus konowa ni johawi gin jogo mayuak. Donge kinde mag tweyo ka wachako gi odiochieng' mar Saburu, warwakore gi lewni mapapo kendo wabukore gi buru, kikiewnwa buru e wiwa. Ranyisi ni wan dhano, to wan dhano manyap madonje richo kinde ka kinde. Kikiewnwa buru en ranyisi ni wayie kendo waywago richowa, aeto koro eka chunywa nyalo neno ng'wono mar Nyasaye. We are marked with dust, with ashes, and we are adorning ourselves with purple, an invitation to all of us that the Mother Church is inviting our children to mourn. And to mourn for what? To mourn for our sinful ways, the things that throw and pull us away from the love of God so much so that we cannot love our brothers and sisters. And that kind of art that we must cultivate that mourns is that art then that recognizes and appreciates the mercy of God in our lives. Then when we show mercy to others, when we do these works of mercy that the holy season of Lent invites us to do, therefore we benefit the community that is also called. And so Lent, the season of Lent, and all these things, as the first reading invites us, the Mother Church invites all our children, the old, the young, and even children, because one sin of an individual affects the entire society. And so when each one of us is able to mourn for their sins, then the mercy of God is experienced even by those who have been wounded by their sins and have been affected by the same sin. And so these three traditional things that we are invited to perform during Lent, we can only ask God that they flow from our hearts. They must not be things that are done which are skin deep, but they should come deeply from a heart that appreciates the mercy, the love of God in their lives. God is always present in our lives. It is us, humanity, who are far away sometimes from God. But God in His love, He gives us yet another opportunity to be close. And so the season of Lent is an opportunity that we are drawn closer and closer to the mercy and the love of God. So much so that we may appreciate the mysteries of our salvation, the suffering, the death, and the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ, for which we begin to prepare our fall. We take recourse to the Blessed Virgin Mary during this season of Lent, Mother most faithful, that through our prayers we may be faithful and we may grow a faithful heart that invites us to do and to benefit from every action that we do during this Lenten season.